You've felt it, haven't you? That moment when you realize the person you thought you knew was performing a role, and you were just the audience. That sinking feeling in your chest when her words say one thing, but something deeper, something you can't quite name, whispers that you're watching a carefully choreographed dance. And you're not her partner in this dance, you're the stage. Stop for a moment. Take a breath. Because what you're about to discover isn't comfortable. Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed. But you clicked on this because somewhere, deep down, you're tired of the performance. You're exhausted from trying to decode signals that seem to shift like smoke. You're ready to understand why your relationships feel like a game where the rules keep changing. And no one told you that you were never meant to win. You were meant to play your part. What if everything you believed about genuine connection was designed to keep you from seeing clearly? What if the very concept of authentic love is the greatest performance of all? These aren't my questions. These are the questions Friedrich Nietzsche asked over a century ago, and the answers he found were so disturbing that scholars still try to bury them under academic jargon and contextual explanations. But you deserve to know what he discovered. You deserve to understand why one of history's most brilliant minds, a man who influenced every major philosopher after him, wrote things about women that make modern academics squirm in their chairs. They'll tell you he was bitter. They'll say he was a misogynist. They'll claim his ideas are outdated. But what if they're desperately trying to keep you from seeing patterns that, once recognized, cannot be unseen? Friedrich Nietzsche didn't just observe relationships, he dissected them with surgical precision. While other philosophers wrote about love as poetry, Nietzsche approached it like a scientist studying a beautiful but deadly organism under a microscope. And what he saw changed him forever. You need to understand something about Nietzsche first. This wasn't some basement-dwelling theorist who never experienced love. This was a man who fell deeply, catastrophically in love with Lou Salome, one of the most brilliant women of his era. She was everything he thought he wanted, intellectual, independent, fierce, and she destroyed him. Not through cruelty, but through something far more devastating. She showed him the truth behind the veil. Here's what they don't want you to read, the quote that sends shivers down the spine of every relationship coach and dating guru. In revenge and in love, woman is more barbarous than man. Your first instinct is to recoil. It sounds harsh, doesn't it? It sounds like the ranting of a scorned lover. But stop, think. Remember the last time you watched a woman destroy a man who wronged her. Not physically, that's the male domain, but emotionally, socially, psychologically. Remember how surgical it was, how complete, how there was nothing left of him but a shell walking around wondering what happened. This isn't misogyny. It's pattern recognition that makes people uncomfortable. Nietzsche saw what you've always suspected, but were too afraid to articulate, that in the realm of emotional warfare, or in the theater of love and revenge, women operate on a level that most men can't even perceive until it's too late. But here's the twist that changes everything. Nietzsche didn't see this as evil. He saw it as nature, as survival, as a form of power so sophisticated that calling it manipulation is like calling a symphony mere noise. You think she's being authentic, but Nietzsche saw what you're afraid to admit. He called woman the perfect actress, not as an insult, but as recognition of a profound truth about human nature and survival. Think about it. For thousands of years, in societies where physical strength determined power, how did physically weaker beings not just survive, but thrive? Through performance, through the ability to become what the situation demanded, through the art of making others believe. This isn't about deception in the crude sense you're thinking. This is about something far more sophisticated. When she cries, those tears are real. When she loves you, that love is genuine. But, and this is where your mind starts to crack, both are also performances. They're real and they're performed. Just like an actor who truly feels the emotions of their character while knowing they're on stage. You want to reject this. You want to believe in pure, unfiltered authenticity. But let me ask you something that will shake you to your core. When you're trying to impress her, when you're being yourself on that first date, aren't you also performing? When you hold back your insecurities, when you project confidence you don't feel, when you curate which parts of yourself to reveal, and when... Isn't that a performance too? The difference, Nietzsche observed, is that women perfect this art to a degree that men rarely achieve. Why? Because they had to. Because for millennia their survival depended not on physical dominance, but on psychological navigation, on reading the room, on becoming what power wanted while somehow maintaining their own agenda. This is why emotional manipulation isn't evil. It's evolutionary wisdom encoded into behavior. It's the difference between surviving and thriving in a world where you can't simply take what you want by force. Here's where Nietzsche's insights become almost unbearably relevant to your modern life. He identified something he called the weakness that commands. Pay attention to this, because once you see it, you'll recognize it everywhere. How many times have you felt powerful protecting her? How many times has her vulnerability made you feel like a giant? You think you're the strong one because you're protecting, providing, performing your masculine role. But who decided you needed to play that role? Who benefits when you exhaust yourself trying to be the unmovable rock? The vulnerability she shows you, and yes, it's real vulnerability, she's not faking the feelings, is also a form of power. It commands your protection, it directs your resources, it shapes your behavior more effectively than any direct order ever could. You think you're in charge because you're the protector, but the protected often controls the protector through the very act of needing protection. This isn't manipulation in the evil sense. This is the dance of power that exists in every relationship. You perform strength, she performs vulnerability, and both performances are real while also being strategic. The problem isn't the performance. The problem is that you don't realize you're both on stage. Your desire to protect is both genuine and manufactured. It's real because you feel it in your bones. It's manufactured because culture, evolution, and yes, her behavior all work together to trigger and shape that desire. You're not a puppet, but you're not completely free either. You're an actor who's forgotten he's acting. Nietzsche died in 1900, but if he could see what relationships have become in the digital age, he would nod knowingly. Social media isn't just a tool, it's the new stage for ancient performances, amplified beyond anything he could have imagined. Every Instagram post, every carefully curated story, every candid moment, these are performances elevated to an art form. But here's what's truly disturbing. We all know their performances, yet we still believe them. We scroll through feeds knowing every image is selected, filtered, edited, and yet we still feel inferior to these digital phantoms. We know she spent an hour getting that natural look, and yet we still feel that pull, that desire, that sense that she's somehow more real than the person standing next to us. Dating apps have become what Nietzsche predicted, a marketplace where performance is everything. And authenticity is just another performance style. Profiles are resumes for the heart, carefully crafted to trigger specific responses. That spontaneous message she sent, she probably drafted it 3 times. That casual photo, selected from 50 attempts. You know this. She knows you know this. You both pretend not to know, but here's where it gets really dark. You're doing it too. Your profile is just as curated, your messages just as calculated. You're both performing for each other, while pretending to seek genuine connection. The algorithm doesn't match authentic people, it matches compatible performances. This is where modern relationships become a hall of mirrors. Everyone is desperately seeking authenticity, while simultaneously performing their most attractive self. You want her to be real with you, but do you really? Do you want to see her without any performance at all? The morning breath, the petty jealousies, the small cruelties we all harbor, the boredom, the human ugliness we all contain? No. You want her to perform authenticity. You want her to be genuinely attractive, naturally interesting, authentically compatible with your fantasies. You want a performance so good that you can forget it's a performance. And she wants the same from you. She wants you to be genuinely confident, naturally successful, authentically emotionally available, but not needy. She wants your performance to be so seamless that she can believe in it. This is the paradox Nietzsche identified. The more desperately you chase authenticity, the more you're forced to perform. The more you try to strip away the masks, the more masks you create. The demand for genuineness becomes just another role to play. You've been taught that seeking approval is weakness, but what if I told you that your entire romantic life is built on an economy of validation? What if Nietzsche saw that relationships aren't about love at all? They're about confirmation of our performed selves. Think about the last time she smiled at your joke. That warmth you felt? That wasn't just happiness. That was validation. Confirmation that your performance of funny guy was successful. Now think about the last time she didn't laugh. That cold feeling? That wasn't just disappointment. That was existential terror. The fear that your performance failed, that you're not who you're pretending to be. She holds the power to validate or invalidate your performed self, and you hold the same power over her. This is why rejection hurts so much. It's not just losing a person, it's having your performance, your very self-concept, rejected. It's being told that the character you're playing isn't convincing. Nietzsche called this the herd mentality in relationships. You're not seeking individual connection. You're seeking confirmation that your performance is acceptable to the herd, that you're playing your role correctly, that you're man enough or that she's feminine enough. These aren't your standards. They're scripts written by society that you're desperately trying to perform. Now you stand at a crossroads. You've seen behind the curtain. You understand that everyone is performing, that authenticity itself is a performance, that relationships are theater where both actors have forgotten their acting. So what now? Do you become bitter? Do you give up on connection altogether? No. This is where Nietzsche's ultimate insight saves you. One must still have chaos in oneself to give birth to a dancing star. The solution isn't to stop performing. That's impossible. The solution is to choose your performance consciously, to become the director of your own show instead of an actor reading someone else's script. Stop seeking the genuine woman. She doesn't exist. Neither does the genuine you. Instead, seek genuine self-knowledge. Understand what role you're playing and why. Recognize when you're performing and choose whether that performance serves you. Here's what Nietzsche understood that pickup artists and relationship coaches don't. The performance is the authenticity. We are what we repeatedly do. The masks we wear become our faces. The question isn't whether to perform, but whether you're choosing your performance or letting others choose it for you. The 3 pillars of clear sight. First pillar, accept the performance. Everyone wears masks. The question is whether you choose yours consciously. When you understand that her emotions are both real and performed, you stop being manipulated by them. Not because you become cold, but because you understand the dance. You can appreciate the performance while participating in it, like a musician who can enjoy music while understanding music theory. This doesn't mean becoming cynical. It means becoming sophisticated. When she performs vulnerability, you can both protect her and understand what's happening. When you perform strength, you can embody it while knowing it's a choice. The performance becomes richer when both performers know they're performing. Second pillar, embrace the chaos. Relationships aren't about finding peace. They're about dancing with disorder. Nietzsche understood that the tension, the uncertainty, the performance, these aren't bugs in the system. They're features. They're what make relationships dynamic instead of dead. Stop trying to figure her out. Stop trying to find the real her. Stop trying to decode the performance. Instead, learn to dance with the mystery. Learn to enjoy the performance without needing to peek behind the curtain constantly. The chaos isn't your enemy. It's the energy that keeps the relationship alive. Third pillar, become who you are. This sounds like a paradox. How can you become what you already are? But Nietzsche understood that most people are living as bad copies of someone else's idea of who they should be. You're performing a role you didn't choose, reading from a script you didn't write. Become who you are means consciously choosing your performance. It means deciding what kind of man you want to portray, and then becoming that portrayal so completely that it stops being a portrayal. It means writing your own script instead of reading society's. Stop reacting to her performance and start creating your own. Not in competition with hers, but as its own artistic expression. Become such a compelling character that you don't need her validation to know you're playing the role well. You have knowledge now that 99% of men will never possess. You understand the game at a level that most will never even suspect exists, but knowledge without action is just mental masturbation. So here's what you're going to do in the next 24 hours. First, observe without judgment. Watch her performances, not with cynicism, but with appreciation. Notice when she shifts between roles. The professional woman, the vulnerable girl, the seductress, the friend. See how seamlessly she transitions. Admire the artistry. But also, notice your own performances. Notice when you puff up your chest, when you deepen your voice, when you hide your insecurities, when you perform confidence. Don't try to stop performing. That's impossible and would make you a social corpse. Instead, notice the performance. Become conscious of it. That consciousness alone will begin to transform everything. Second, test the framework. The next time she displays vulnerability, consciously choose your response. You can still protect her, still comfort her, but do it knowing what's happening. Feel the power dynamic shift. Notice how her vulnerability commands your behavior. Then notice how your protection shapes hers. Watch the dance from above while still dancing. Third, start writing your own script. Ask yourself, if I wasn't trying to impress anyone, if I wasn't seeking validation, if I wasn't performing for an audience, what would I do differently? Then do one small thing from that authentic place, not to be genuine. Remember, that's just another performance, but to begin choosing your performance instead of having it chosen for you. This knowledge comes with a price. Once you see the performances, you can't unsee them. Once you understand the dance, you can't pretend it's spontaneous. Some men break at this point. They become bitter, resentful, angry at women for performing while conveniently forgetting their own performances. Don't be that man. That's just another performance, the bitter philosopher, the man who sees through it all. That's just trading one script for another, and it's a script that leads nowhere but loneliness and resentment. Instead, use this knowledge to become a better performer. Not fake, remember, the performance is real but conscious, deliberate, artistic. Become someone who performs so well that the performance becomes truth. Now you have a choice that 99% will avoid. You can close this window, return to your comfortable illusions, pretend you never saw what you just saw. You can go back to believing in genuine connections and authentic love. You can continue being an unconscious actor in someone else's play. Or you can embrace uncomfortable sight. You can accept that all human interaction is performance and choose to become a master performer. You can stop being audience to her show and start being the co-star who makes the entire production better. Nietzsche's challenge echoes through time. Become who you are. Not who society tells you to be. Not who she wants you to be. Not who your parents expected you to be, but who you are. And yes, that's also a performance, but it's your performance. Here's the question that changes everything, the question that will haunt you until you answer it. What if the performance is the authenticity? What if the mask is the face? What if the dance is the love? Because here's Nietzsche's ultimate secret, the one that terrifies both men and women. Relationships aren't about finding someone genuine. They're about finding someone whose performance harmonizes with yours, someone whose masks complement your masks, someone whose dance matches your rhythm. You've been looking for the wrong thing. You've been seeking truth in a theater. You've been demanding authenticity from actors. Stop looking for the woman who isn't performing. Start looking for the woman whose performance creates beauty when combined with yours. You want me to tell you it gets easier, that once you understand the game, you win. But that's not how this works. The dance doesn't end. It just becomes more sophisticated. The performance doesn't stop. It becomes more conscious. Every interaction you have from this moment forward will be different, not because the world changed, but because your eyes opened. You'll see her performances, but more importantly, you'll see your own. You'll recognize the scripts, the roles, the masks, and in that recognition lies freedom. Not freedom from the performance, that's impossible, but freedom to choose your performance, freedom to write your own lines, freedom to direct your own scenes, freedom to become who you are instead of who you've been told to be. Nietzsche didn't expose these truths to destroy love. He exposed them to make conscious love possible. When both performers know they're performing, when both dancers know they're dancing, something magical happens. The performance becomes play. The dance becomes art. The masks become faces you chose together. This isn't the red pill or the black pill or any pill at all. This is simply sight. Clear, uncomfortable, transformative sight. The kind of sight that, once gained, cannot be lost. The kind of sight that makes you dangerous to those who profit from blindness. So share this with one person who's ready to see, but warn them first. Because once you see the performance, you become responsible for your own show. Once you understand the dance, you can't blame anyone else for stepping on your toes. Once you recognize the masks, you have to choose which one to wear. Welcome to the theater. You've always been here. The only difference is now you know you're on stage. The question isn't whether you'll perform. You will, you must, you already are. The question is whether you'll perform consciously, artistically, authentically, within the performance itself. The curtain never closes. The show always goes on. But now, finally, you're awake for your own performance. Remember, you're not crazy for noticing this. Your instincts were right all along. This is why relationships felt like a game you couldn't win, because you were trying to win instead of trying to play beautifully. Now go. The stage awaits. Your co-star is already performing. It's time you gave the performance of your lifetime.